Welcome to App-Solutely Safe, where we delve into the cutting edge of banking software development designed to safeguard your digital transformation. Let's explore how modern software development practices are the cornerstone of secure banking experiences. First of all, they are reducing massively the risk, because when you are doing continuous deployment, as I said, you are bringing small changes into production with a small risk. By doing test-driven development, you're ensuring the quality of what you are building, and with the feature flags, you can easily switch on and switch off new features. And this significantly improves the bank's security posture, making their application more resilient against attacks. And secondly, they foster enhanced customer trust and satisfaction by demonstrating a commitment to protecting their data and privacy. Let's first talk about continuous deployment. But to talk about continuous deployment, we first need to understand continuous integration and continuous deployment. So when we do continuous integration, then a developer will commit the source code into the source code repository to integrate or reintegrate the code with the rest of the code. This is why it is called continuous integration. Then a continuous integration server will build the code, do some static code analysis, unit testing, and so on. And out of the continuous integration, we will have a deployable artifact. This deployable artifact can then be used by the continuous deployment, where we are going to continuously deploy this deployable artifact into a staging environment and execute a set of tests to test if this system still works. And if everything is green, then this deployable artifact will be automatically deployed into a production environment. This is continuous deployment. The benefit of continuous deployment is that you can bring small changes very fast into production, which leads to a smaller risk. But not only that, when, for example, vulnerabilities are discovered, then a bank can respond immediately, deploying security patches much faster than through traditional methods. This agility enhances the application security and ensures that customer data remain protected against emerging threats. TDD is a software development approach. It is a so-called test-first approach, where we are going to write the tests before we write the actual code. In this approach, we as developers are going to first think about the feature, then think about how we are going to test this feature, and then we are going to implement the first test. Of course, this test fails because there is no implementation there. So we have a red test. With this test, or with this red test, we are then going to implement the functionality so that the test will turn green. And with that, we have a green test, and we can refactor safely our code because we have a first test. And then we are going to write a second test, and so on and so on. This is how we do test-driven development, or TDD, and by that we can detect flaws in our code very early in the development process. With feature flags, we are able to distinguish between deployment and release. A deployment is bringing the compiled code into production with the feature toggle off. And a release is switching on the feature toggle. By switching on a feature toggle, the feature gets enabled and the users can use it. And now you also understand why this concept is so important, because it allows us to do continuous deployment, because with that we can continuously deploy the functionality into production, but with the feature toggle off, so that the users cannot yet use the feature while it is still under development. For security, this means that banks can roll out updates or new security features only to a selected group of users, monitoring the performance and make the necessary adjustments. This controlled approach is invaluable for example, A/B testing and ensuring that security enhancements are effective and seamless. So integrating these new methodologies, especially with legacy systems, can be very complex. And moreover, shifting away from the traditional development processes requires quite a cultural change in organizations, which can meet quite some resistance. But in my opinion, there is no way around that. Banks need to adapt these modern software development practices because it is crucial for them, because staying static in that business is not anymore an option, and it is also very worth it to adopt that, because you will see that you can continuously deliver value to your customers. The customer experience is getting better, the quality of what you're building gets better, and also the efficiency. So how much value you get for your money gets also better, and you also will see an improved time to market with these practices that I showed you. So dealing with this resistance is very important, and it is the job of the leadership team to lead this transformation in a bank. And with that, thank you for watching App-Solutely Safe. We embrace the future of banking with confidence, knowing that modern software development practices are paving the way for a safer digital world.